I think people will be very interested in knowing the children of victims.
Yeah.
How are they impacted by their parents' abuse? Because they're definitely impacted by it. You parent out what you know, and if you're already damaged, your parenting is going to be damaged.
I did reflect on my own relationship. I obviously witnessed you being miserable for most of your relationship. And as I was growing up, I'm like, I don't ever want to feel like that in a relationship. If I'm unhappy, I'm going to walk away.
Yeah.
Oh, it takes me time, but I still do it.
I remember looking at my mother and thinking, she's a fucking dormer, and I will never be like that. Now, I am a very verbal dormer. Do you know?
Yeah.
You cannot help
Yeah.
but reenact what's been ingrained in you through observation.
Yeah.
As your brain is developing. You have no control over it. That's what the stuff we inherit from our fathers and mothers are unconscious. And why do you think you're so impacted by the book?
I think, for me, I suppose, being a mother as well, and just reflecting back on the innocence of children. Like, I mean, all your stories were different. I cried through the whole thing, literally cried through the whole thing. And it just brought me back to, like, I look at you as adults now, obviously, and it just brought me back to you as being kids, and then looking at my own child, and then thinking about my innocence as a child, and I suppose the whole ripple effect that I had in general and what abuse has. I know you guys had asked a couple of years back about doing statements around the secondary kind of victim. I didn't really get what to say in that.
Right.
But I suppose the audiobook for me, I think it was different in a sense that the words and someone speaking to you is different than reading. It hits you differently, and it just makes you look at things differently. And obviously I've had my own personal journeys of, you know, my struggles in my life and it just made me reflect on how everything has a ripple effect and how it doesn't just impact you directly, it does us too. And I suppose it did make me reflect on the relationship with man, and I suppose the relationship I would have wanted to have rather than the relationship we did have. But I didn't look at it from any sort of anger or blame. It was just
grieving, probably.
It is absolute grief.
Did you gain an understanding of your mother as a woman as opposed to as a mother?
Yeah, very much relate. There was a lot of what Mum spoke about that resonated. Her role in the family of being the fixer. Straight away I broke down, and I was like, I know exactly what that feels like. And I'm like, Jesus, I am that role in the family. One was automatic, get Joyce. Joyce will know the answer.
Yeah.
And that's what people do with me in the family.
Right.
And how you spoke about, Jesus, what do they think I'm made of? And I feel that sometimes. I'm like, this is overwhelming. Like, I need help too, so why doesn't somebody just stop and fucking say, here, this one can't take all this on. But at the same time, you get something out of it as well. There's something in it for you. And
Absolutely.
there's that, and maybe it is because of the abuse and the impact that it has.
I don't think so. I think I took that role on because it's the only thing I could do that gave me some kind of recognition.
Yeah, well,
Like,
that's
she
what I was
smiles
saying.
and the fucking world melted. She was always a little cunt, but I was nothing.
She's talking about me?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was always your little weasel or your little maggot or something.
Yeah, well, that's
But
exactly it.
she was visible. I always felt invisible.
Yeah, and I can resonate. And the other one as well that really stood out to me is when you said no, and then you walked away and you're like, I didn't realise I had that power.
Yeah.
And I've done that so much in the last few years, and just in my life in general, when I reflected on my own stuff. And, you know, when you do say that, it's the feelings, the guilt, the shame, the confusion that it brings up, and you're like, jeez, if I had known back then it was as easy as it was, why didn't I do it then? The way you speak about healing and it being a journey and it's all layered, like, so much of it resonated with me.
And what's good about that is we believe that this book would help people regardless of the childhood trauma they experience.
Absolutely, 100%, and that's exactly what I got
because it's
from that as
just
well.
about being a human being and navigating
Yeah.
the trauma we all go through, whatever shape, form it comes in.
Yeah.
But it's good that you're after picking all of that out of it, and
Yeah.
you didn't have the childhood we had.
When I was listening to the audio, it just brought me back to my own childhood, because I gone through friendships where I was battered and I walked away from it. It was like breaking up a marriage. You know, I didn't even know until one day my friend Sandra says to me, you know what's happening to you is not right. And I was like, what do you mean? I'd call over to her in the house and she'd be like, you're not wearing that. Don't wear that. Like, and of course, stupid me, go home and change. But I was 16 at the time. I didn't even understand what was going on with me. But I had very low self-esteem. I was very quiet and introverted in school. You wouldn't think it now. But I just remember being extremely shy and just hiding from the crowd. And for years and years and years after I walked away from that friendship and even into adulthood, do you know what, for years I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Ah, poor her, she had this horrible life and, you know, she didn't know any better. And then I kind of just thought to myself, do you know what, fuck you. So what if you had that life? I still didn't deserve that. The other thing that stood out to me as well was I loved the reflection pieces. I think the reflection pieces will really bring, you know, healing and understanding to people who are ready. Because we all know healing's about readiness and those aha moments. I remember even going through my own life experiences, and you always kept saying to me, just focus on yourself, Audrey. Focus on yourself. And I'm like, yeah. I know what you're talking about. But when I get out the other end of it, I was like, I actually know what she means about that now. And I know I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
It's mad. And you spoke about, what was it, the effect that the abuse had on you and how it affected you being a mother. Sure, Jesus, I kept the kids on the road all the time and I kept them busy. And I don't know, the way you said it, it felt like as if you thought you'd done something wrong. Like, I was like, no, I'm actually glad that you did that. I'm glad that we stayed on the road and you kept us sheltered to a certain extent, because
it was, I know.
And I get that fear though.
And I know you were good, and I know you were entertained, and I know we had a ball, but it was the intention behind it was to protect you, without even understanding what I'm protecting you against. And I was saying I didn't even realise that until Derek went away that weekend.
Yeah.
And I made a phone call and he said the very same thing I said. I couldn't breathe, and I didn't say that to him.
Yeah.
But when he said it to me, it broke me heart.
Yeah.
And I said, that's my shit, that's my answer to it.
But I relate to that, because it's that motherness in you that just wants to protect them, and we were all open in a sense. Like, I mean, the whole story of the abuse and how it came out, and it was always openly spoken about.
Yes.
I don't remember the age. I think I might have been, maybe not 11, but whatever age I was, I know he's got somebody in to speak to us. So I suppose for me growing up, it was probably easier for me to say no to certain things and experiences that happened to me, because I knew it didn't feel right. So I said no to them, and without that openness, it might have turned out completely different for me. So, you know, there's anyone who, I suppose, has experienced abuse, don't be afraid to talk about it openly. It's important to talk about it openly. It's important to make it a comfortable narrative. You know, what feels right and what doesn't feel right, and what you say no to, what you say yes to, what's acceptable. Like, it is becoming more of a thing in schools, but in the homes where it happens and the people who have experienced it, it's okay to talk about. And I think that's... And the other thing that I got from the book in general is, although it's about your story and it was sexual abuse, I just remember kind of walking away, metaphorically, from listening to it, and I'm thinking, Jesus, that book's going to help so many people. And not just someone who's experienced sexual abuse, someone who has experienced emotional, financial, like, abuse from all walks of life, whether it's a friend, whether it's a partner, whether it's a family member. Like, there's so much layers to it that it's not just, like, abuse is quite generic in a sense as well.
Yeah. People, I think, are confused and think that we've just brought out the book now in audio form, and it's so much more than that. Can you see the difference
100%,
between...
Yeah, the reflection pieces that are in it, the growth in yourselves, the learning, the knowledge. The reflection pieces were a surprise for me, and a nice surprise.
Having all the different voices, doing all the different characters, like you said, it's very different than reading something off a page.
Yeah.
It doesn't impact you.
Yeah.
Listening to the likes of Derek doing the Eldest voice and bringing that to life,
Yeah.
or Pam doing Mandy and bringing her to life.
Yeah.
But it's more about telling a story in a way that the impact of it hits home, which is exactly what we were trying
I
to
feel
do.
like you're listening to it in real time.
But there's more than that happens in those conversation pieces. It teases out the points we're trying to make and demonstrates what they look like and what they feel like in real time.
Yeah.
You know, and we are
Hearing
discussing.
something and reading something is completely different.
Yes.
The essence of the original book is still there because I, even back then reading it, and it's not that I went and I read loads of abuse books, but for me, hearing stories and people being interviewed, your book differed because you very much went with the message of it doesn't define you. You can heal, you can move on. But when I left listening to this book, I felt this fire inside me. I'm like, I want my side of the story to be heard, to help you, to help others, to see that even
That's
though your
fantastic,
parents
isn't it?
go through the experience that they experience, naturally it's going to have a ripple effect. But, you know, as a secondary victim, you can't come out the other end, you can't heal it if you're willing to.
How did you feel doing the voice of Laura? Because as much as you would have known, like we would be your family, but you wouldn't have known really anything about Laura. How did you feel doing her voice in the book and telling her story of having to tell my mother's?
I don't know really, to be honest with you. I don't think I felt anything. It was just such a snippet of, it was a tiny dot on the map.
But it was huge.
Imagine having the responsibility of doing that. And that responsibility was
Never
given to her
really
by the
reflected on it,
entire
to be honest with
family.
Well, to be honest, you couldn't have possibly, nor could Laura, have possibly understood the bomb she dropped into our family.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
Yeah.
And she knew there was going to be problems, but you couldn't possibly foresee the enormity of the impacts that statement.
Nanny and her story and the sadness in that. Yeah, it just, the whole thing, like I cried for the majority of it. It's just so sad, the life that she lived and the strength of her and the innocence of her, and oh my god, when he took Pam back to Ireland and she was,
Can you imagine?
I was like, but not knowing how to voice, you know, what you really want to say inside, and it's killing her. I've been there and I know what that's like. My voice was dim for a while at the start of my motherhood, and I remember giving myself such a hard time thinking, do you even hope like you can't even fucking advocate for your child? And the struggle of that. So I really kind of went into myself and felt what she felt, or what I imagined what she could have felt, and it's awful.
Yeah.
It will hit a lot of people, and it will hit the right people in the right ways,
Yeah.
in different ways. And I suppose the thing that I would say to anyone who is listening to it, go back in 6 months' time and listen to it again. Because the reflection that you get from the first one, it's like watching a movie and thinking, oh God, I didn't see that the first time around, or I didn't hear that the first time around. Because you'll pick up different every time. And I think it's important for people to look at that, because it does help you look like your own story.
So
Your own.
what do you feel is the most positive thing you got from listening to the audiobook?
Healing. So there you've gone.
Yeah.
A little bit healing myself, a little bit understanding of myself, why I made the choices I made, understanding of my mum, compassion for my mum, and compassion for you guys and the experience that you, compassion for.
Any compassion for you?
Yeah, a little bit, well maybe not as much as I gave to everybody else, which is, yeah,
Look at that.
yeah.
There you go.